All right, so next up, we've got a great panel. Linda mentioned, and I mentioned, this big partnership we have with InteractiveMedia in Germany. So here we have Philip Missler and Nigel Gilbert. Come on out, guys. So Philip, yep, you can clap. Have a seat. So Philip is the managing director of InteractiveMedia, which is a subsidiary of Deutsche Telekom. He's the brains and the driver behind the entire move of Germany to programmatic. Now, as many of you know, Germany has been very reluctant to move to the exchange. I've been trying since 2004 to convince Germans that this makes sense. And so it's just now, in the end of 2012, when not just any company, but the most important company in Germany has adopted this. And with Philip, Hugh Grant. I'm sorry. It's an office joke. And here with him is Nigel Gilbert, head of sales for EMEA.
Thanks very much. Thank you. So you can see I don't suffer from too much stereotyping there from my American colleagues. I guess I had to expect that one. So yeah, look, Brian's touched on quite a lot about Europe in his previous talk, and very proud to be the first, let's say, content after the introduction, the Europeans representing our region. I know there's a lot of people here who are also from Europe and their businesses, and you've flown over. For those of you that are not, you'll know Europe as the place that hosted the Olympics, as Brian said. You'll know it as the home of great weather, obviously, in London. Great food, I guess if you're from Paris, we can probably have that. And also very organized, large marketplace. I'm probably talking more about Germany when I say that. But we've been in Europe now for about a year and a half, AppNexus. We opened London, as Brian said. And we've also now got an office in Paris and in Hamburg. I want to say hi to the guys who are back home watching, probably on the live stream. Don't concentrate too much, there's still a job to do. So keep your eye on the day job. And we're very keen to launch, even though those markets are, let's say, struggling. You guys will read a lot about Europe and the recessions and the difficulties that we're facing over there. Certain economies in Europe are having some real problems. They're requiring bailouts from some of the more responsible economies. But that being said, it's still a very good time to launch. Our goal is to align ourselves with the most innovative, the most dominant players in all of those relevant marketplaces. So on that note, it's my great pleasure to be here with Philip, the Managing Director of InteractiveMedia. Interactive is comfortably the most dominant player in the German market, a subsidiary of Deutsche Telekom. So very, very excited to have announced our partnership. We'll talk more about that. But Philip, welcome. Could you tell us a bit then about the key to your market position and the dominance that you guys are seeing in your market?
Sure. Thanks a lot, Nigel, for the introduction. Sure. And it's really a pleasure to be here, especially these days. So if I look a little bit tired, I watched the election show on TV all night long. It was really an amazing show.
Something they do better than us, I think.
Yeah. So before I come back to your question, let me comment a little bit on your intro statement. Definitely, we have a severe financial crisis in Europe. However, we shouldn't overemphasize this all the time. As I see it, we just won the Nobel Prize for it, right?
Well,
okay, yeah. Wrong category. But
this is what's happening here.
Coming back to your question, why are we so successful in the German market so far? I see three sources for our success. The first one is the historical structure of the German market. Pretty much since the beginning, all of the quality inventory in online was controlled by a few very strong sales houses belonging to big media companies or corporations or telcos like us or tech companies. So they are not under pressure and they are in control of the most relevant inventory in Germany. Second, our special relationship with Deutsche Telekom. So we have exclusive access to the extremely successful media platforms of Deutsche Telekom. In online, we own the leading portal business, the leading content network in Germany. We are the leading mobile network operator, of course, and have access to this inventory. And we have the leading IPTV platform, connected TV platform in Germany as well. So this is a pretty prominent starting point. And this is our home base in a way, also for our third-party business, which is nicely growing, but the credibility comes from our mothership in a way. And third, I believe the way we do business in Germany is one of the success factors as well, focusing pretty much on premium and quality and sustainable market development.
So, talk a little bit about the way that you do business. I know that people are going to be familiar with this, but obviously in Europe, I think we've got a display marketplace of around $5 or $6 billion. I know we'll hear from Forrester in a bit, they can talk more about this. But it's actually made up, of course, of smaller markets. And not so much necessarily their individual values, but they all have completely different characteristics. They've got very, very different ways that you need to approach them in order to be successful. So I'm obviously based in London. I'm slightly biased towards the UK market, but we have a very fragmented situation in the UK at the moment. The barriers to entry are a little bit lower, so as a result, there's more duplication. There's a lot more fragmentation, of course. The French market has its characteristics. The Dutch market is particularly interesting for its innovation. I think Brian's already touched on that, and we're going to hear from some of the guys later. But the German market, again, has its own very defining characteristics. It's much more organized, you could say, from the outside looking in, certainly that's the case. It's also been slightly slower to adopt programmatic and RTB than some of the other markets in Europe. So again, that's one of the most interesting points about having Philip and the company he represents here, for us to be able to understand that. But I guess for the benefit of people here, let's say that people did want to launch their businesses into the German market. What would be your top 3 tips of the best tactics or strategies of how to go about that?
Really?
Yeah.
Don't do it. Just work with us.
It's good advice. That sounds like good advice.
You don't like that? Okay. I mean, if you want to build a sustainable business in Germany, I can think of 3 strategies you should consider in a way. The first one is focus on real value for advertisers and publishers. Don't think that a global playbook for rolling out platform businesses will just work in Germany. This hasn't worked out for the ad networks in the past, and it won't work out for the ad exchanges, DSPs, SSPs in the future.
Okay.
So this is the first one. The second one, maybe, I mean, intermediaries will have a hard time in Germany. So don't try to be an intermediary. Choose your battles, look on what side you want to play, and carefully choose your partners for that. And, well, maybe the last one is how to take it. I mean, the German market is pretty much driven by the discussion about quality and relevance of advertising. So we are putting a lot of effort into developing really sustainable planning frameworks together with the agencies, the advertisers, and just if you come in with remnant approaches and do not adopt to this quality strategy, you will have a hard time in Germany. Okay,
well, could we just pick up on a couple of those? I think the one in particular, the second point there, you were saying intermediaries had a very hard time in the German market. Like that's pretty unique, I would say, to Germany. Why is that then? Firstly, how's that happening, and why is it so important?
Yeah, a couple of reasons. I mean, one of them I already mentioned. This has to do with the strong position of the sales houses, controlling more or less all of the relevant inventory. So you cannot easily walk in and just grab relevant inventory and build your business on top of this. You really have to have access to these players like us, but there are a couple of others as well. And then it's also related to the quality discussion in the German market, which is aligned between the advertiser agency side and the publisher side. So we are pretty special in how we do tracking, market research, the planning frameworks. This is not one-to-one the global playbook. And it's definitely different problems you have to solve in Germany. I mean, just to give you an example, as I see it, there are a lot of data companies, data intermediaries out in the US market now trying to build data management platforms, networks, services, whatever. This is addressing a completely different problem. This is successful in the US and other markets, I believe, because you did a mistake. Sorry to say that.
So I'm not from the US market, it's okay. Say it like that.
Yeah. So if you devalue valuable premium inventory and put everything in RTB and make remnant inventory out of premium media brands, then you have to solve subsequent problems, right? You have to use data to identify whether a per se brand safe impression is really brand safe, right? You can make a business out of that, but you cannot do this in Germany because we are in the lucky situation that we do not have this kind of RTB-driven market so far, and we are not trying to build that.
Okay, okay. Well, interesting. The third point that you mentioned previously in the How to Approach Germany playbook was the concept of relevance. So is that kind of an extension of the brands that you're running on? I mean, can you elaborate on that just a little bit as well?
Sure. I mean, first of all, it's a no-brainer, right? Successful advertising is communication, and communication works if it is relevant. It's communication between advertisers and consumers facilitated by publishers. And making this relevant to consumers is making successful advertising, of course. What I'm referring to is a step further from there. If we build an ecosystem where we have media as a mass market and everything is similar, and you're just working on billions of impressions, you have a hard time to be really successful in advertising end to end. And this is what's important. It's not important to optimize trade margins in one part of the value chain. It's really the end-to-end view of successful advertising. And I give you a short example of that. A couple of months ago, I had a side discussion with one of our very big clients, a global company, and so my counterpart is running global media buying for this company. And so he told me, look, I'm increasing spend in digital advertising year by year. And it seems to be the right thing to do somehow. But if I look back and ask myself, why am I doing that? I don't have an answer. Is this guy stupid? I don't believe so. I mean, I know him. He's definitely an extraordinarily smart guy. This was a statement pointing to a very important discussion point. The end-to-end quality of our planning frameworks in digital, not only in online, in all of digital, is not yet on the level where TV is, for example. TV is different. It's it's a different database you're working on, but over the last decades, TV has built very efficient framework of how I can do brand advertising, brand marketing. And in online, we are still offering only clicks. Clicks doesn't mean anything for brands.
So relevance, obviously, therefore, still being incredibly important. I certainly want to talk about cross-platform with you as well before we finish. But useful playbook. Good answers there, thank you. If you want to enter the German market, don't. Partner with Philip. Don't try and do it yourself. You'll never get in. You'll never get the correct inventory. But we talked about it a little bit earlier. We've just announced a partnership with you guys, which we're very, very excited about. We're 6 days in. You guys might even be watching. I think from here, got any messages?
So if you're watching, go back to work, please.
Well, let's make sure that they're keeping an eye on things. I want to just make sure that we understand the strategies that we talked about, I think, are very, very important. But is there anything more that you can elaborate on in terms of the tactics, or how you really want to take our partnership to really redefine how the markets can behave, particularly in Germany, for the next 2 to 3 years?
Sure. I mean, we call our platform Germany's premium publisher platform for some very good reasons. What we are going to do here is not to build the next RTB marketplace and turning our premium inventory in remnant things. We are also not going to build a kind of an SSP solution, which is selling our inventory to DSPs or trading desks. Why? Well, we don't have to. We are in the lucky situation that we, together with the agencies, really can structure the market. We have direct relationships with all the big advertisers in Germany. We have a share of 50%, over 50% direct deals. We have long-lasting relationships with the agencies. So what we are trying to do is really to leverage the technology which is now there, make a structurally efficient and intransparent market more transparent and efficient, but at the same time preserving what we think is the strength of the German market, the focus on quality and premium. So RTB plays a role, of course, on our platform, but more as a technology enabler, not so much as a business model.
And we talked a bit about customization as well, didn't we, before, as being something that you really want to address?
And this is very important, and this is why we are so excited of our partnership, because we believe that AppNexus has really a fundamental advantage with having this open product architecture, which enables us to really customize and build the right business processes, build the right products on top of the platform we can roll out specifically to the German market. Because in the end, for us, this will be a strategic product platform more than a marketplace. So if you look to the advertiser side, we are talking much more about audience products you can book on the platform, including targeting, retargeting of all flavors, than about just buying on an impression basis. And if you look to the publisher side, we are very much focusing on providing real value in terms of 360-degree yield and campaign optimization, control over channels. So it's not just taking chunks of inventory and putting it in there. It's really about reflecting the individual sales strategies of all the over 60 publishers we represent on the platform.
Well, you mentioned, and again, just before we finish, I'd love to talk a little bit about, there's always a lot of conversations around cross-platform and what does it mean, and how can people really use it. There's some kind of holy grails of targeting people on mobiles and so on. But you guys are in a very unique position in the sense that obviously a telco operator, some say, is probably the final hurdle in terms of true mobile targeting. And there's been, I guess, a lack of activity from the telcos in the past. Obviously you have display, but you've got a lot of connected TV as well and smart TV. I mean, is that something that you want to address? Is that something you can see this growing into?
Definitely. On the long run, this is the vision. And this comes back to the point on relevance and digital planning frameworks. In the end, it's not a distinct online market versus a distinct mobile market versus IPTV. It's really about the competence of having cross-screen platforms. This is not there today, but this is definitely the direction we are working to.
That's great. Fantastic. Okay, well, look, thanks very much, Philip. It's great. It's great to talk to you about all of these things. By way of summaries, obviously, we've got a good playbook here. Then we know how to enter the German market if people are considering it. Some say it's been the real sleeper in Europe, and it can really kickstart the growth. Certainly, there's been a distinct lack of activity to this point, so we're very excited about moving forward together. And we'd love to give you guys an update. I don't know if Brian really knows this yet. He might not be happy for me saying it, but we're really pushing for a European summit next year. So hopefully we can all give you guys an update on the other side of the Atlantic of how things are going 12 months from now. So thanks very much, everybody. Thanks, Philip.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye. Cheers.